The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
All right, it's Tuesday, the 11th day of May 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindo's. I'm Jamel Hartman, along with Jackie Lambert today. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share that link. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching on Channel 82 or listening on the 4100 radio station, please call someone up. Let them know we're on. Just get the conversation out there to your network. And don't forget to like and engage with us. A good one today, as we have, I like to say, business management entertainer, Damon DeGraff, Bermudian, doing big things outside Bermuda, joining us for a conversation. Honestly, this is an exciting conversation for Bermudians. Trust me, good brother here. The Daily Play is a remember when. It's. I'll just say it's an anniversary today. It's a remember when. So, Jackie, hopefully you can actually do well on this. All right. So it's not rocket science, but I wanted to first, before we get into the discussion, we got some sad news last night regarding the Carifta games. The on again, off again Carifta games, according to the Royal Gazette, are officially off. It says on the Royal Gazette, the news that young athletes around the Caribbean and in particular Bermuda have dreaded was confirmed tonight by governing body, the North American, Central American, and Caribbean Athletics Association. Keith Joseph, the organization's general secretary, said in a statement. Now, Jackie, you're an athlete. What does it mean when these kinds of things happen? Like, I mean, in tennis, you may have tournaments. I think Wimbledon was the first one that was canceled last year. What does it mean in terms of, like, you know, fitness levels, you know, just the ability to keep going?
It's definitely a struggle because a lot of us train with certain competitions in our head to go and achieve and strive towards. So it definitely will crush your spirits. You got to reset. You got to find out what's the next available experience and competition that you can join in, and then focus and tunnel vision for that particular event. I know that a lot of tennis events were canceled because I used to not just travel, but I used to also travel as a coach. So I'm a player and a coach still. And I think we have a competition that the ITF International Federation is trying to put on in July. Mm-hmm. And it's still up in the air, but I know that they canceled a lot in the past few years. So it kind of just stops you in your tracks. Yeah. Pun not intended. But a lot of our athletes, depending on what sport they're participating in, they have a small window of opportunity to make it. So you have some kids that are trying to do this to get into maybe a boarding school and a scholarship, or maybe to get a scholarship into university college, or maybe to even make it in other competitions. So you have smaller competitions that will guarantee you into the bigger competitions. So for Bermuda, we will have Fed Cup, and then it turns into Pan Am Games or CAC Games that will actually help you qualify to get into the Olympics. So with that, I'm not sure how this will help the children be able to push forward and achieve that.
Yeah,
it's
and again,
of course,
as the audience can tell, I'm not, the athletic guy. But no, that said, I think about like last year when the Olympics was canceled, and Larry Marshall Jr., who is one of our sports people on the Daily Hour. He was saying to Dage Minus, who's also a runner, they were having a conversation about this year and let's say running, right? You might be running 2 seconds better this year, and then your event's canceled and you have to do it next year, and it's a whole different thing. And how you don't even think that 1 year in sports, especially sports with small windows, could really be career defining, right?
Yeah, you're aging. So I'm back to running a little bit. So today I feel great and I go out for a run and I cut my mile by a minute, but then tomorrow I fall ill and then I'm off track with my training, and then next month I'm not running as fast, or I'm not as fit or as strong, or even, for example, the gyms closed down again. So it's just constantly hitting you off track, and we're all fighting against age, and our knees just don't love us as much as the days go on.
Tamara Richardson makes a great point here. It's so disappointing for the athletes who aged out of Carifta over these past few years without their chance. That right there is obviously there is age limits with Carifta. It's hard. It's hard because this is something that some children really look forward to, and now they'll, who knows, probably never get to experience it.
Yeah.
I'm not
tennis.
Yeah, so not sure if anything will be amended for that, but said either way, Rick Olson says you really have to feel for the youth, not only losing out on opportunities, but real life experience that can be replaced. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on that, going back to Tamara Richardson's comment. This could have been someone's last chance to get an athletic scholarship, right? These are, I know some people who may not be into sports and track, they may look at it like, oh, well, it's just something, nothing we can do about it. But there are opportunities that are being missed for people that could be life-changing. I mean,
absolutely.
Who can't want or hope or pray for an athletic scholarship, right?
For some people, that's the only way out.
Absolutely, indeed. Teresa says, I dislike road running, but I gotta get ready for Bermuda Day run. So we have a Bermuda Day run. Jackie, you gonna join it?
I guess I have to.
All right, we got you too.
Maybe I'll train with her. I'm not. I have to walk a little bit. I see the heels. I'm like, I'm just gonna take a quick break, and I'll walk through. And then I get hungry, so I have to line up. This, it takes a lot. I have to line up my food stations and my watering stations.
Well, look, I've been running the Bermuda.
St. George's isn't fun to come out.
I've been running the Bermuda Half Day Marathon for years. I've just never started and completed it. It happens. It happens. But moving along, folks, here's the conversation this morning. So Spain, according to Reasons to be Cheerful, Spain's 4-day work week is a game changer. That's the title of today's discussion. Most experiments with 4-day work weeks have been motivated by corporate self-interest. That could be about to change. So check this, because I want to get the audience your input on this. More than a century after Chicago factory workers won fixed labor protections under the slogan, 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, and 8 hours for what we will, quote, the work week is once again evolving. The article goes on to say companies have recently been experimenting with 4-day work weeks in the hopes that a shorter week will ultimately improve their bottom lines. But the concept broke new ground last month when Spain announced it would become the world's first country to trial a 4-day working week. The 3-year, 50 million euro or $60 million pilot project will launch in September. So before I go any further, what are your thoughts on a 4-day work week? Obviously, it's going to impact different industries, different sectors differently, hotels, hospitality, healthcare, right? But what are your thoughts on when I read this, this is one of my favorite parts. Under the plans, an estimated 200 to 400 Spanish companies will voluntarily take part in the project by reducing their employees' working hours to 32 hours per week, right? While keeping the same salaries. So I don't know if you all have heard me on this show before. Previously, I've said, do we never question why it is we go to work for 8 hours a day? Why we are pulled away from our families for that amount of time? Some people more just to make ends meet. So I love the concept. Because, talking to a close friend of mine last night, we are living in a space right now. We're living in a space where we should be more focused on productivity versus time spent. Jackie, you seem like a fan of this.
I like it. I mean, it's not my industry, but I like it. I mean, it just, like, even reading it, one person was saying that, I'm not sure if it was actually a person, but they were saying how they either want to spread the 32 hours across the board, so that some days they can come in for shorter periods or whatever, so they could do the 5-day work week, but coming in for short periods. So that means that those mothers or even fathers that don't get to pick up their children from school can drop their kids off, leave work early and go pick up their kids, or they can say Friday, Saturday, Sunday and have a long weekend and spend it with their children. I'm a family person, so to know that people get to spend more time with their family doing fun activities, and I feel like it will definitely do a trickle effect into other industries, because that means that I get to take a long weekend and do a staycation at the hotel. I can go and I've never been able to do wakeboarding. I got to go do wakeboarding. I got to go do this. So it just brings out the adventure in people, and then it takes out that stagnant vibe of, that ick vibe. I'm gonna go to work tomorrow. It's Friday, Junior. Like, why do we have that, man? We should be excited about what we do, but then also excited to know that I have more time with my family. Like, just thinking 5 to 2 always baffled me. So I'm just like, 4 to 3 is it's better odds.
Yeah,
I think it will help a lot of relationships as well, because not to be that stereotypical person, but
will.
Your wife's always just like, you're going to work again. All you do is go work. Can't you take vacation? This, that, and the other. So I think it will help a lot of relationships as well. But that's just my take.
No, indeed. I think that's definitely family work-life balance. Some people have said. Kenton Trott says 4-day work weeks are amazing. Key Kane says, sign me up. Look at Elizabeth saying, where do you sign
Liz.
and Baby Rocco Don Levrock is packs up, moves to Spain. Carla John says, I would love having a 3-day weekend every
That's
weekend.
beautiful.
Kenton Trott, a 4-day work week enables a better work-life balance. Teresa says, I was introduced to this at Spelman during the summer. We had a flex schedule. We would have had a 4-day work week, same salary, and it was amazing. You all love this, huh? Sonia Clark says, consider holistic living and balanced life. My vote, yes, all jobs. Again, I don't know all industries to say all jobs, but I get you. I mean, it can be applicable if they hire enough staff in most.
Or optional.
Yeah, there's ways to do it. Deborah Leah, Joe Bell, Jackie.
One of the exempt companies I had worked for transitioned to the 4-day work week during the summer, and it worked wonderfully. I believe that's the best time as well. People want to get out. They're looking out the windows, and they're like, I want to be a part of the fun with all these summer kids and camps going on. And they're all overlooking at the, Harbor Road, that little Hamilton Harbor. Little,
relief, looking out, enjoying the water, not realizing you're at work. Bobby Singh says, let's be honest, on paper it will be 4-day work week, but workaholics like me and or employers will never see it that way. Also could be difficult if you work with those in other regions that have a traditional work. Wow, key point there, Bobby.
Yeah.
You work in a space where, time zones matter, right? Again, this pilot, I'm watching it closely because I would love to see how it works. It reminds me of the guy, Dan, I forget his name, in Seattle, that lowered his salary to 75 and increased all his staff.
Out, right?
I like that because, people expected it to fail and the company's doing well. And even during the pandemic, they done well. Courtney Simon says, work-life balance is a constant struggle for the employees in the corporate industry. I see this in HR all the time. I love this idea. So a lot of fans of this idea. Tamara Richardson, Jack.
Industries will have to adapt because the willingness to devote your life to a 9-to-5 job is disappearing. 4-day work weeks that measure the outcome versus hours worked sound like a recipe for success.
Baby Rocco, Dawn Levrock says, Bobby saying pretty much she had Dawn says she had a summer flex time at her job and always seemed to work through it. My line of work, clients don't care. So that's the other thing. Depending on what you do for work, is the job still going to require you to put all that time in? Because you have people that their hours are actually 8 hours and they still, because of the work, have to put in. But that comes down also to your employer, right? The employer, if you still have to work all that time, then maybe it's the employer or you that needs to figure out, well, this is not too much work. This is too much work for one person. You can't achieve that work-life balance if the work's not great balance. Teresa Jacks.
It may not work for all employees, but for those that have the option, it works for. It's a great idea.
Indeed. Philip Trotz says a 4-day work week would give people more time to support other industries financially. There you go. More staycations, more time to support restaurants and businesses like Jack's, more time to do stuff like learn tennis. I agree.
Thank you. Shameless plug.
But no, he's right, because think about it. I think about commutes to work, right? Bermuda's small, but it still takes a long time to get from the western end to the island to Hamilton, if that's where you work and live. The amount of that time gets taken away from maybe being able to exercise or in the evening, spend time with family. So it is a lot of time that gets taken away.
Yeah.
To be able to have that good balance that people are talking about. Quick question, yes or no, before we go to the news break? Yes or no, folks? Do you agree with a 4-day work week? I want to see who says no. That's the question right now. Do you agree? Would you be in favor of a 4-day work week? Let us know. Would you be in favor of a 4-day work week? Would you be in favor of a 4-day work week? I'm gonna for a 4-day work week. Yeah.
It's like a song remix.
Wrap it. But I'll give my input. I believe in productivity over time spent. I don't believe that we should be, having people work for a certain amount of hours just to say they're working for a certain amount of hours. I believe that we're in a space right now, as mentioned earlier, that people really should be working. Their job should be based on productivity. So Tamara Richardson says 4 days a week sounds great until you have customers that demand 24/7 access all 7 days. Yep. That's a great point.
I'm not even in that industry, and I have people that do the same thing, and I'll be like,
yeah.
This is my time.
So you mean you can't do tennis lessons at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning?
I would there, because I'm usually awake.
But you're right. It really, really does depend on the industry. Michelle White says work's flexibility seems to be working well for many. Give choices, but remember that the business cover the core customer service experiences for their clients. Don't like the idea. This causes shift work, though. That could create other problems like shift works. James Birch says, yes, as long as TDH is still 5 days a week. Man, you took it right away from us. I knew what we were trying.
We love this, so 5 days a week is fine.
Yeah, and look, it's all productivity for an hour, right? It's
an hour, and then you have the rest of the day to go on adventures. It's perfect. It gets your adrenaline going, and then you go out and you jump off that dock.
There you go. Look, it looks like everyone's in favor of a 4-day work week. Christine Pierman says yes. Angeline Butler says, of course. Camille Burgess says a yes. Nicole Walker's and absolutely. Carla John, yes. We have a most definitely from Ellen Simmons. Sonia Clark says yes. Terry says yes. So nobody's going to say, not one person's going to say no. Seriously, you all, man.
Who's going to say no?
I'm just saying some people might like being away from home. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not saying anyone's having trouble.
Well, then on that 5th day that they should be at work, they can go and learn a new hobby.
Well, yeah.
Like tennis.
Oh, wait, there we go.
Golf,
there we go.
Tennis.
There we go. So look, folks, Jackie, you still don't have one. I'm sorry. But yesterday we had some show-offs out there.
I know.
You had some show-offs. You had the troublemakers. Look, you have Robert Durham. He got his mug. And,
wow.
Baby Rocco, another show-off, right? And
wait, Robert doesn't even live in Bermuda.
Yes, he does.
Oh, okay. I thought he was overseas.
I'm spreading rumors about people, girl. Bobby Singh says, and Robert says, this is the funny. We mugging this morning. So
wow, mean mugging.
Yeah, well, let's just say, I mean, you all can officially become members of the club as well. I mean, just hit us up, engage@thedailyhour.com, and you can get one too. So, yeah, Jackie, hopefully you have one very soon. Okay. I'm not, I mean, it's not me. I'm not in charge of the mug situation.
This feels very much like you can't sit with us, and it's unfair.
Yeah, it definitely seems like segregation. But look, let's get to the news break. Then we have our guest for the day, Damon DeGraff, coming up. Be right back with you. According to the Associated Press, U.S. regulators on Monday expanded the use of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine to children as young as 12, offering a way to protect the nation's adolescents before they head back to school in fall, and paving the way for them to return to normal activities. Shots could begin as soon as this Thursday after a federal vaccine advisory committee issues recommendations for using the 2-dose vaccine in 12 to 15-year-olds. An announcement is expected tomorrow. The Food and Drug Administration declared that the Pfizer vaccine is safe and offers strong protection for younger teens based on testing of more than 2,000 U.S. volunteers ages 12 to 15. The agency noted that there were no cases of COVID-19 among fully vaccinated adolescents compared with 16 among kids given dummy shots. More intriguing, researchers found the kids developed higher levels of virus-fighting antibodies than earlier studies measured in young adults. All right, so today, May 11th, is Eat What You Want Day. Many people spend time stressing over their diet and what they should or shouldn't eat, mainly because today's world is filled with, not my words, folks, not my words, but today's world is filled with magazine covers sporting perfectly tanned models that constantly make us feel inadequate. The various health food fads that seem to come and go every few weeks definitely don't help. Either, as it turns out, a gluten-free diet is not particularly good for anyone who isn't actually allergic to gluten. Juice cleanses deprive us of the protein and fat our bodies need to function properly, and taking too many vitamin supplements just makes our urine expensive when our bodies flush the express. If you, like many people these days, are beginning to feel disillusioned with all of these things, you will be glad to hear about Eat What You Want Day. So happy Eat What You Want Day, everybody, especially you, Jackie. Look, if you'd like to know what the weather is where you're at, well, just pick up your phone, look and see what the temperature is, or just peek outside to see what it's looking like. That's your daily hour news break. All right. What?
You basically said, you want to know what the weather is? Go outside.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I don't blame you. I'm not mad at it.
Oh, I was supposed to tell them the temperature. No, you good. It's not hard. Just look outside or look at your phone. It tells you on your phone. All right, we'll be right back with Damon DeGraff after this. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Salter sped her bed again.
Oh gosh, these days I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
Spring has sprung and it's time for the Friends of Hospice Butterfly Blast annual raffle. The sun is shining and it's starting to heat up out there. This $1,000 Bates gift card will ensure your beverages stay chilled and you can barbecue in style. The draw date is May 22nd for a $1,000 gift card at Bates. Check out our Facebook page, Friends of Hospice Bermuda, for details. Prize donated by Bates. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jackie Lambert, myself, Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also stream this and many other locally produced shows. So look, I think Bobby Singh was a fan of my my weather report. See, I knew I was onto something. Angeline Butler, just to answer your question, just send us an email at engage@thedailyhour.com. So it's engage@thedailyhour.com, and you'll be able to get your mug. Look, Coffee tastes better in a TDH mug. Pamela Weird says so. Look at that. People love this. Eat what you want. Day. A day after my own heart. Jackie, what are you planning on eating today?
Well, I was about to juice. I was going to do a juice cleanse.
All right, my
I was giggling when you said that, so I guess I'm not going to do that because it's Eat What You Want Day. I'll start tomorrow.
My apologies. All right, without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day, Damon DeGraff. Jackie, you got me feeling good about myself. Good morning, Damon. Welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone?
Good, thanks.
We're good. Real quickly, you're a pretty fit guy, but are you gonna indulge in Eat What You Want Day today?
I might have to now. I mean, I try to eat healthy, but any day can be a cheat day, I guess. So today's the day, right?
There you go, bro. So look,
today.
For me, it's just going to be a normal day. I mean, I do that every day. There's no juicing or any clean eating. I thought I was eating healthy, but as Elizabeth, one of our audience members, told me a couple of weeks ago, I might as well just eat ice. That's how bad it is for me. So forgive the healthy or non-healthy eaters who think they're doing well. But thank you for doing this, man. This is, of
course. Thank you for having me.
I actually first met you in person when I was working in tourism, and you were doing a lot of things with tourism, but you were DJing at the time. But speak to us, because you have quite a journey. And I really, really hope that audience, if you haven't already, share this link, retweet it, because this incredible story of a Bermudian growing and succeeding beyond Bermuda can give others hope, motivation, and pretty much inspire them to believe that it can be done and they can do it as well. But just speak to us to start, Damon, how you landed in New York City doing your thing. How did your story begin? How did you get there?
Yeah, let me I have to summarize it some because it's a lot, but I went to boarding school at 16, 17. Was always into music, always wanted to kind of do more, always had an appetite for more. And I remember wanting something different. And I said to my mom, like, look, I want to go to New York and be involved in music. And like most parents are like, what? Like, no way. Like, so she said, look, give me a plan. Mm-hmm. And if you can write me out a plan of what you want, then I'll support it. So I did some research. I went back and forth. I found this school, the Institute of Audio Research in New York, and gave this whole proposal. She loved it and allowed me to do it. Was a little bit apprehensive, like, well, should I? I did it. Long story short, finished school, did excellent in school. My first internship was at a place called ASCAP, which is a performance rights organization. And, it was, I think every situation I was in was kind of like a learning process for me, even though I didn't see it at that time. So I think going into it, the school was like, yeah, well, we give you job placement and all this other stuff. To me, which is like a legal scam. But hey, they did what they did, right? So I got this internship. And after 6 months, I'm thinking you just get a job, right? And after 6 months, there's no job. They keep me on for 3 more months. There's still no job. And they're like, yeah, all right, bye. We have to see you later. It's time for the next interns. And I think at that point, it was a real learning point for me because it was like, well, no one's giving you anything, right? So as much as I thought like, well, yeah, I don't know, like, as if you know somebody or if you just think the opportunity should be yours, it's just going to automatically be given. Mm-hmm. And it just was like, nah, that ain't happening. So I think from that point was a real key turning point for me to really understand, one, New York City, that no one's giving you anything, even if it's your family member, right? No one, like, you have to go and get it because it's there for you to get, right? So I think that was my real early beginnings in New York City in terms of entering.
But there's something in your story, though. There's something in your story. And Jackie, you probably experienced this, or know people who have, but you know how, people, they want to go away to school. Let's say a Bermudian wants to go and they want to study dance, and they'll be pushed to say, and it happened to me, it's probably happened to you, but you're pushed towards international business or hospitality, like almost discouraged, because they would firstly say, people in circles would say, well, there's no opportunities in dance, or there aren't any opportunities and so on. So the fact that, I mean, you came up with a proposal and you said, well, look, this is what, it's very similar, because I wanted to do radio.
Right.
And my mother would not, I wouldn't say allow me. I'm not going to paint my mother in a bad light, because she eventually let me double major. Right. But she said the opportunities are not here in Bermuda.
Right. I agree.
And so I had to go and do well at my business major to be able to actually double major, which she took on the financial burden, and I got a scholarship. So I get it. And I guess our mothers are very similar in that respect. Like, we proved to them that we can do it. And so your story is just from that part impactful of how you got to New York City. But speak to us more. Obviously, I met you as a DJ, but you're doing big things, and we'll get to some of the big things. Because I mean, when I looked at your resume, bro, I'm like, my goodness. I mean, I'm not putting you on a pedestal. I'm just saying, like,
thank you. I've learned to take. Someone said to me, like, you know, we have to be able to kind of take on compliments, because a lot of times you're like, no, it's not me, you know, and obviously respectfully and not in a, you know, cocky way, but no, thank you. I mean, you know, like, I have worked very hard, you know, to be in the position that I'm in now. I think even for other people to recognize and give accolades. So thank you. You know, I appreciate the fact that you can say that. So it means a lot.
No problem. So you've spoken about your journey and how you got to New York, your mom. Just speak to the audience a bit. And audience, if you have any questions, and if you, what I should have done is shared with you Damon's background, because I'm sure you would have had a lot of questions if you saw it, but I didn't get his permission to share anything publicly. So forgive me for that. But what, just share with us some of the highlights of your career so far, the highs, lows, but also the lessons.
Oh, wow. We don't even start, because there's so many lessons.
Oh, we got time.
Well, wait, so I guess just to give a little more context from that time period to when things happened, obviously was trying to get into the music business at that point, because I think that was what I moved to New York for, right? You know, and I think my personality has always been, if I want it, I'm going to get it. Right. You know, now, if I don't want it, I don't really care all that much. But if I want it and I set my mind to it, I'm going for it and I want to get it. So that was the goal. The goal was to be in the music business, have a successful career, have my own business, because I've always felt that I was a boss. That was just my mindset. Right. And, you know, I mean, obviously in high school, somewhat to my detriment, because teachers didn't like that I would question or act certain things, but that was my spirit. Anyway, left there, moved around, had a few things like tamping here, tamping there. And one of my biggest lessons was I had got a job as A&R's assistant at Universal Records.
Wow.
And for those of you who don't know what an A&R is, it's pretty much the one that probably works the closest with an artist outside of management, but helps make the music, create the sound, connects with different producers. Like, it's pretty much there to create the body of work for the artist. So to have that job, it's probably a very coveted job, right? You know, and at the time, I don't know why or how, it came through a temp agency, but I was the A&R's assistant for Dino DeValier, who I think used to manage Collie Buddz, or does manage Collie Buddz, and a woman by the name of Jocelyn Cooper. So at this time, they were the hottest things in music, because they had signed like Nelly, they had signed Cash Money, like they just were on fire. So to have that job, it was like, dude, I made it, right? You know? And but I also had my own hustle going on. I had my own groups, I had my own label, like, you know, like that's New York, right? At this point, I'm in my groove of like New York City. I'm moving around, I'm meeting people, I'm at different studios. You know, even though I wasn't where I am now, it was just, you're in that mix of the action, right? So I got this job. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm in this position. So I'm up and down on all the different floors. I'm giving my groups, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other. And I get a call the next day. They tell me not to come back. They fired me.
Oh.
I was shattered, right? Because I'm like, well, wait, like, and their excuse was like, oh, because you took CDs. But at that point, they gave away CDs. They'll give away CDs to like a homeless person. Like that's just what they did with promo, right? It was there wasn't any digital at that time.
Right.
But I think the lesson for me, I think at that time and after reading later on in life, the 48 Laws of Power is one of the it was never overshadow the master, right? You know? And I think that was a key lesson for me in terms of chain of command and even what you give and what you show in that time. Because I think for me, I was almost showing too much. Like it's almost like I was too eager to be great or to be big. So I think it was a learning lesson from, okay, I need to watch that some, but then also I need to watch what I say and who I say to, right? Because not everyone is in your favor or wanting you to be better. Now, I don't think it was anything that they were like, we don't want this guy to succeed. But I think at that time, I was supposed to be an assistant, right? And if they're like, well, if you're doing this after the first day, what's going to happen when you really gain your power in this position? Like it could be whatever. So that was probably one of my kind of early beginning kind of lessons that really taught me really how to move and how to kind of navigate within that business. And I think, you know, from there, I've obviously gone on to be, you know, kind of friends with, you know, Dina and a bunch of the other people in that space. But at that time, I couldn't see anything different outside of like, man, like I thought this was it for me.
Yeah.
And obviously it wasn't, because if that job continues, who knows where my life would have been, right? Things might have gone or veered differently, and I might not be in the position that I am now. So
on this, wow. Woo. Sorry, Jackie.
It's fine. I'm very intrigued about your story. It's inspiring. And obviously you're not just a DJ because you're into so many other things. And
well, wait, let's clarify first. So DJing is my hobby. First, let's say I'm a businessman and entrepreneur, right? So I DJ because it's something that I like, you know. I think music has been a part of me since I was young. So yeah, but I do DJ, taking nothing from that, but I like to put the business side of things first, just because I think that's where, you know, like that's where my dealings are, right? That's where that's what keeps my lights on and allows me to do amazing things. DJing does too, don't get me wrong.
It's nothing like having a hobby that pays, right?
Exactly.
Never. You always got to have that second income or third or seventh, whichever. Up there.
You should have a lot. So that's the
You should have a lot. But you are managing one of the hottest soca artists. How's that going?
That's awesome. Yeah, I started managing Cass maybe 2 years ago now. And it's funny, you know, because I'm like very much into meditation and manifestation and all of those things. That's a huge part of my life as well. And I think for the longest, or here recently, or for the past few years actually, you know, I've been in New York for like 25 years, right? So I've lived New York. I've seen the changes of, you know, like it's, I don't know. I think it's, for me, it was like I could do a move in different places at this time. And I've kind of set my life up in that way. But I was saying that I want to do more things in the Caribbean, because I think at the end of the day, even though I've been gone for so long, I'm an island boy, right? I still represent that wherever I go. And I was like, you know what? I want to do more in or with the Caribbean, or with Caribbean artists, or just in that space, because I feel like I've been able to learn, you know, say in America, around the rest of the world. And I kind of want to be able to kind of give back or help connect some of those dots certain times, because I think we're overlooked in some sense, or things just are so diaspora that people get stuck in that space. And not saying that anything is wrong with that, but I think the world should be your oyster, right? So, yeah, randomly, friend of mine who's now a business partner of mine had introduced me because they were looking for new management maybe 3 years ago. And we actually had a meeting, and it never happened at the time for whatever reason. I mean, that's how the business goes. And maybe a year later, my friend was like, "Hey, Cass is playing at Coney Island. Like, let's go to like the show." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I don't want to go to like the show, bro. Like, I know what Cass is all about, and not in a disrespectful way. Just like I didn't feel like hearing soca, this particular day." So my friend, he convinced me. So we go, and I mean, like, the amphitheater was packed, like maybe like 5,000 people inside. Outside, it was maybe another 3,000 people trying to get in, and just had this energy and like this buzz about it. So we walk in, and I was like, wow, like this is kind of crazy. Like, so automatically, whenever I go to a concert or anything, my mind shifts into creative mode, right? Because I'm thinking like, what could be done better? Like, how's this being utilized? How that's being, like, just because I guess that's the way that a manager or businessman's mind or my mind works. And anyway, we meet with them after, and had 1 or 2 meetings, and then next thing I know, we're like managing it. So it brought me back to something that I wanted to do and something that I had manifest, but also kind of dealing with an artist that I think is really at the point of where he can cross over, or where he can kind of give more to the world. And he was ready for that, or is ready for that as well, right? And I think, coming out of or going into the pandemic, I feel like it was a gift and a curse because, he had just won Road March and Soca Monarch. And I think it was really right at the pinnacle of, let's say, the soca or carnival, like, like peak, right? And I mean, like we had, millions of dollars lined up in shows, and then the pandemic happened, and it's like, oh man, like what, but I think it has kind of worked in our favor because we needed that time to really create and really do things. So like we're currently working on his like debut album, and like really lining up things that in touring or gaining all of that money, we might have lost the opportunity to really create the things that we needed to create, which will be more beneficial to us on the back end of things now. You know what I mean? And I think to go back to lesson learned, I think one of the biggest lessons learned too was that money isn't everything. And I think that a lot of the decisions and things that I've made, I've never looked at the money first in creating or really in doing, right? Because I think like sometimes the money is so looked at to grab that you kind of lose sight of some real kind of foundational things that need to be in place. One, for you to even handle the money when you get it, but even not even to really compromise who you are and your integrity. And I think that's something that has always been kind of key for me, is kind of how I'm viewed. I think even in having relationships with people, from 10 or 15 years ago who I still have their respect for, or they still have their respect for me, or still talk about me in high regard because of kind of our dealings or my dealing in that space, where a lot of my peers might have done things based off a money grab or based off of it's just about this, and not even realizing or respecting the relationship.
You went the
long money of it and not looking at the long term. I always looked at everything in the long term of it, right? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, if I could make money continuously with you, and I could do that with multiple people, then that means that, that big hit might go, right? That big hit might go, and I've done you wrong. But I remember this girl said this to me once. A friend of mine that worked for Condé Nast had mentioned when I was just getting in it, and she's like, be very careful, because she's telling me about another DJ and his manager that had done something wrong to one person in their crew. And she was like, listen, like, we're like a fraternity, sorority, whatever. And it's like, we talk, As I'm sure women talk about guys that do things, like, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But I just think but I always took that to heart, as in, I want to do right by everyone, because you never really know who is in what room or who says what. So I would rather you say either, I don't really know him, I have nothing really to say, or just say, look, dude has been always awesome. He's always been true to who he is. He's always given that same energy. I have to respect that type of thing. Even if you don't necessarily like me, you can't really say that I've done anything wrong to make you feel our way, or that's disrespectful, But
Cass is one of my favorite artists, so I'm super excited that he's in good hands like yours. makes me feel great. But I just want to switch gears a little bit. Tourism has taken a huge hit during this pandemic. What kind of music and offerings do you think Bermuda needs to explore to revive our cultural experiences and the entertainment scene?
You said tourism has taken a huge hit?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know what? I don't know if it's a specific genre, to be honest, because I feel like music now on a whole is so like broad, right? Like I think the days of specific genres, I think, have kind of loosened up some. I mean, they're still there, but I think now with social media, the consumer has kind of more eyeballs on music or on artists because they can research themselves, right? I mean, if I had to say anything in terms of music revival in Bermuda, I mean, I think there needs to be an industry. I think it's not a music industry in Bermuda, right? So there's, so there's no one that's really helping kind of govern or guide, in a sense. Like, even if it's not the big music industry that is like New York or LA or even Jamaica or anything, like, it just feels like it's no one that's really helping like give a structure to anything, right? And I think now it seems like there should be people or things in place like that, because there are numerous artists that are creating, like, from what I've seen, there's a ton of artists, I think, because of social media, that are creating and are doing like really well, right? But to me, it's no, like, I don't know, it's like either people are trying to emulate things from other areas or other places. And I think, to me, and I actually said this once, because I went to Rusty G and Kaylin Castle did a kind of like a round table once of like a bunch of artists and Bermudians that were doing things. And like, I just sat on it for a minute. Like, no one really knew who I was. But again, I've been in Bermuda for the last year. So I wanted to see like what was going on, because, as I said previously, in trying to give back to the Caribbean or do things, Bermuda adds as one of those too, right? So I want to be able to, in any way, if it's the right thing, be able to add the things that I know to help fuel or give anything to people that are wanting to do it, advice, whatever it is. And I think one of the things that I took from it, and I think this comes back to the industry side, and the industry meaning not everybody has to be an artist. There's managers, there's publicists, there's songwriters, there's so many different aspects to the business that, because not everyone's going to be a star, like and sometimes the biggest stars are the ones that are behind the scenes that help push the buttons or help mold who and what those artists are, right? And I think one of the things that I saw that really lacked was just the artist development, right? Where it's like, people, I think, tend to, my mother said that I could sing, or, the church said that I can like sing, but no one's really developing the sound or cultivating who it is that you want to be as an artist. Just because you have a voice doesn't necessarily mean that you're an artist, right? Just because you have a voice doesn't necessarily mean that you can be a star. There's so many elements that come with that. And I feel like that's the job, like that's the work. And I think those are things that I think really, I feel like people have to kind of really understand. But I think a lot of that, again, comes with the business. And I think I would love to see, and even help in whatever way to kind of create that,
Some of what you said just now, I really liked though. When you went, no one knew who you were, and so on, right? And as I've listened to you talk and I read your bio, it's like, I wonder if Bermudians realize how close they are to someone who can actually, not necessarily put them on, but knows the industry and can give advice and so on. We're almost out of time, but I want to go to the audience because their questions cannot be ignored. So in the most concise manner, Mark Arthur C. Phillips, music has changed so much over the last 20 years. What are some positive changes that have occurred in the music industry?
I would say probably one of the biggest, that's actually a really good question. I would say probably one of the biggest is, I think, artists looking to take kind of more stock and ownership in their work, right? I think social media has allowed for artists to be more direct to the consumer, where before I think things were so kind of driven by record labels and radio and all of those things, which I think still to some extent add some value, but at the same time, you don't need to have a record deal to have a career, or you don't need a record deal to at least start your process. So I would say that to me is probably one of the biggest, I think, or one of the most positive lights that I think have happened over the past 20 years.
Tamara Richardson, and I think this is in the back of the question earlier by Jackie about tourism. Now that Damon has been back for a while, I'm curious to hear what he thinks is missing from the Bermuda entertainment scene to inject some life for tourists and residents alike.
Okay. Wow, that's a good question, actually. No, I mean, because I feel that I don't know. I mean, I would say maybe I don't know. Honestly, I don't have to get back to you on like that one.
Yeah, I think that one does actually require a lot of thought. Obviously, in New York, there's so many different things on the entertainment scene. You have Broadway, there's so many things. We can go on and on.
Oh, but you know what? Touching on that, I mean, I would probably say, I think one, maybe more support for the arts, right? Or for that space, because I feel like in New York, there is so much to do, or so much to be like part of, that I think is supported. I feel like here, and again, I've only been here for the past year, and we haven't had that much to really do because we've been locked up for the past year. But yeah, I actually would want to think more on that, and I can actually get back.
Well, we're going to have you back. I mean, we have a lot more to discuss. 25 to 30 minutes is not enough, Damon. So
we need like an hour and a half.
If people have seen his bio, like, it's a lot more to discuss. And honestly, I think this conversation, although short, is helpful because there's so much. We have a question here. Let's wrap it up here because I have a lot more questions, but we'll have you back. Rosalind Famous, she's asking, what does development look like? How does it happen?
I think it starts, and I'm assuming she's talking about as an artist, right? I think one, it starts with, who do you want to be as an artist, right? And then obviously I think it's the team of people that are around you in that space as well to help kind of move those ideas or those things forward. But I think it starts personally with the artist first. I think like who's, are you just going to get up and like sing? Like, who's your style? Like, who's your audience? Like, how am I dressing? How am I looking? Like, it's like all of those things that I think it's such that sometimes I think it's missed. And I think sometimes the artists don't want to deal with that, which is why I think the industry side of it is key, because then that's where a manager comes in, or that's where a production company comes in, or that's where your team of people who come in to help you kind of cultivate your package in a sense, right? I mean, because let's use Rihanna for an example. Rihanna was just island girl that some producers that were on vacation found, but then took her and started to develop that, right, into what they thought was going to be, well, let's show this island girl, whatever. At first, that didn't necessarily work. And then you started to see it constantly evolve into what it is now, right? So I think that is where development kind of is. But yeah, I think it starts with, the artist knowing, or at least having a sense of who they want to be, or at least somebody within your team or that you respect, knowing what that is and how they want to move you forward.
Alrighty, let's end it on this note. Nicole Walker, Damon is my cousin and high school classmate. He was a bit of a rebel, but also has always been a leader. His success is incredible. He is a great example of follow your dreams and hard work will pay off. Damon, we have to run, but we're going to be in touch to arrange part 2 and possibly part 3. But thank you. Thank you. To the audience, if you haven't already, these shows, stay up, share the link, start that watch party. Damon, we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Alrighty.
Nice meeting you.
If you enjoyed that conversation, don't forget to smash a like, a love, let us know how you felt. But it was a wealth of information in there. We're going to be right back with the Daily Play. Jack is guessing this morning. It's an easy one. It's an easy one. Don't go anywhere.
Tune in to the Full 100 Radio every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment. The Full 100 Radio. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices.
All right. Thanks again to Lindo's and One Communications, Medical House, everyone who continues to support us. She's Jackie Lambert. I'm Jamal Hartman. Thanks again to Damon DeGraff. I really hope that people understand there are Bermudians that are not on the news every day or all on social media, sharing this and sharing that are actually in very good spaces who can help other Bermudians. So I really appreciate Damon coming on to have that conversation. And there are so many Bermudians who want to get into music or on the entertainment scene. And we have people like Damon who are in these industries that can really help us, guide us and provide insight into what it's like and how it can be accomplished. So that's why I say share these conversations. They can be helpful to someone. Here's the Daily Play. Very easy one. I know someone's going to get it before Jackie. Jackie, here you go. It's Remember When. On this day, some years ago, Robert Nesta Marley, aka Bob Marley, died. What year was this?
Oh, Jesus.
What year did Bob Marley pass?
I don't know. He still lives on in me. It was definitely before I was born. Okay, so Tara's birthday here.
1981. It was.
I was gonna say 83 because I knew it was one of my sisters, but I was just like, well, the year of their birth, and I'm like, I don't remember which one.
Age your sisters on this show. Just telling everybody how old you all it is. But no, 1981, Bob Marley. It was 40 years ago today. The world lost one of the greatest musicians to grace the earth. So Bob Marley continuing to be an inspiration. Speaking of inspiration, here's the daily inspiration for today, Jackie. Well, that's not it. Here we go. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. Brian Herbert. So that's your daily inspiration. Any final thoughts on today's conversation, Jackie?
I actually really enjoyed it, and I look forward to him coming back on. He has so much knowledge, and from what he was saying, he has more to say. So, let's get him back in the room. And
I know short notice, and you didn't receive his bio, but I'll send it to you. Incredible gentleman, humble guy, and has a lot to offer. So hopefully Bermudians engage with Mr. DeGraff and find ways that they can collaborate and work together. On that note, thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Jackie Lambert. I'm Jamal Hartman. My friends, make it a great day.